Hi there, welcome to today's video. I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Designs. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. On this channel, we learn alcohol ink, watercolor, and other creative art projects together. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get started. Hello friends, in today's video I am hoping to inspire you and give you some ideas to fill in the pages of your sketchbook. I'm using a Canson XL sketchbook, and for this first example I'm using alcohol ink markers so that you can see that I taped off the edges of the paper. I like to have borders, but of course you don't have to do that. So I drew a grid of 6 squares and I made sure that my lines were wavy. You can use more squares. You can do this any way you like. I'm just hoping to inspire you. So here I'm taking the fine tip of this alcohol ink marker and I drew a few petals, and I'm making sure that I bring them almost to the edge of the square. I want to make sure that I leave enough space around each of the petals so that I can add a background, and the color of the background shows all around the flower. And you can see that I didn't make my dots exactly in the center of each of the squares because I wanted some petals to be longer and some to be shorter. And I thought this really was a fun way to do this so that none of the flowers look the same. Some of them, in fact, have 5 petals. Others will have 6 petals. It doesn't matter. It's your painting. You can add as many as you like. So you can see here again, I'm using the fine tip of this marker to fill in around the background, and that fine tip makes it really easy to get in there. And I wanted to make sure that I used really vibrant colors. I wanted this to be bright and cheerful. It was giving me that 70s vibe. It reminded me of wallpaper in my family's homes back in that time. I think that making these boxes all different shapes just makes it so much more interesting and so much more fun. And this was a lot of fun to do. And I got very creative and I had all kinds of ideas. I almost wished that I had added more squares because this was so much fun to do. I didn't want to stop. And you don't have to have alcohol ink markers for this. You can use whatever you have. You can use watercolor, you can use acrylic markers, whatever, even highlighters, whatever you have. So once I was finished, I felt it needed a little bit more. So I took a fine liner and I outlined each of the petals. And then I added 3 little lines in each of the petals just to make it a little bit more interesting. And I thought this turned out so well. I was very happy with it. Okay, here is example number 2. This happens to be my favorite. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. So again, I'm working in the Canson sketchbook and I'm using alcohol ink markers. And what I did was I created shapes, and they're supposed to be buildings. It doesn't matter whether it actually looks like a building or not. Just create shapes. You can see here this one has a dome top. And I just filled in most of the paper with very colorful shapes that will later become buildings. Once I was happy with the amount of buildings that I had, I decided to add a sun, and then I filled in the background for the sky. Then I brought out the Posca pens and I started to outline each of the shapes, and I started adding detail. And I actually had no idea what I was going to do in each one of these shapes until the pen hit the paper. And it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, it's going to be fine. It's going to be really cute and interesting. So you don't have to be able to draw to create this type of painting. You can see that none of my lines are straight. It doesn't matter. It turned out really cute and I was very happy with it. And it was so much fun to fill in each one of these shapes with all these little details. I think the more you add, the more interesting it is. And of course, once I was finished, or at least I thought I was finished, I added a few more lines to the sky just so that it was more interesting. And I was really happy with the way this one turned out. Again, this one was my personal favorite. And then the next one is going to be really simple, but I love the way it turned out also. So for this one, I didn't tape off the edges, but for this, I'm using my Artex acrylic paint markers. And I started out with one orange color and I drew 3 circles. Then I used a different orange pen and I outlined each one of those circles. And now using a third orange, I created these segments of an orange. So once I was finished creating these segments, I filled them in, and you can see in the top one, I didn't leave any white space, but then for the remaining 2 slices, I did leave white space in between. But then I just went back with the white marker and I added those marks in the top slice. Then I used a purple marker to create a shadow for each one of the slices. And once I was finished, I thought that was cute, but I felt like it needed something more. So I got my alcohol ink markers. I chose this really pretty bright blue color and I decided to create a background. So I just added some thick horizontal and vertical lines. And this really made the orange pop and the purple, and I thought it was a really great addition to the painting. And now at this point, you can say it's finished, but of course it's me and I needed to add a little bit more. So I got my fine liner and I decided to outline the oranges and the segments within the orange. And once it was finished, I was very happy. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you enjoy this type of content, let me know in the comments section because I would be happy to do more videos like this one. I think they're inspiring and they're so much fun. They're so simple and they're so much fun to do. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Stick around for pictures of the finished paintings, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.